Hello, everyone. Wow, full room. Yesterday I started at 10 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, Fmx started at 10 o'clock. So the rooms was really empty, and I was afraid that I was a week too early, but today I see, yeah, Fmx has really started. Thank you for coming here. My name is Helge. I'm a trainer for 3D and visual effects software. My company is named Pixeltrain. I have a little booth at the coffee corner in the marketplace, so it's a good place to be and to talk nerdy stuff with me. So be invited the next days to come over. Today I make a presentation here between two software packages which are really, really strong. And it's a kind of funny thing. I started presenting Maxon Cinema 3D a long time, and we always looked around, we are better than there. Yeah. And suddenly we have a shift in the presentation style. To be serious, in production, we always cook on many flames, but yeah, in presenting and marketing, we always try to make it a little bit clearer where our point is. So today, this presentation is Houdini engine for Maxon Cinema 3D. So I want to show you what you can do with Houdini a little bit, but I'm not the big Houdini guy yet, maybe. Then you have to go to Jeff or ask these guys here in the front row. But I want to show you what you can do with this amazing piece of software if you are a Cinema 3D user. And a short question of you, who owns a Houdini Indy license? Yeah, I hope the side effects guys will, yeah. Okay, not so much. You know, we had a little talk some years ago. Houdini was extremely expensive. Let us say it like this. And then it comes down, and now we have an Indy license out there, and this Indy license brings you the chance to use Houdini in a full production way. It's a little bit limited at some paces, and you are not allowed to earn more than $100,000 a year. So I hope, yeah, you make this good. So I will start this presentation really fast at the side effects website. So I want to bring you to take a look here onto where to get this cool stuff. Okay, sideeffects.com, yeah. That's the web page. You see, looks nice. Thank you for every like you do in the moment. You see here, this is the Houdini website. Here you can see great trailers. We have a trailer in a moment, so don't be afraid that you have to stream now on your handy mobile phone. And if you look around here under products, you see that you can buy here a whole bunch of different products. You have Houdini itself. But Houdini, as a 3D package, it's a full-blown 3D package, you can buy in a standard version. You see, yeah, nice price. And you have the cool version. I have to confess, in most cases, I see Houdini somewhere out. They use Houdini FX. Because one of the biggest strengths of Houdini is the visual effects side. You can have really great solvers for fluids, for gases, for rigid and soft bodies, cloths, and other funny things you can do with Houdini. And this is one of the biggest strengths. And for us as Cinema 4D users, this is something we want to get. Yeah, we want to get more of this into our tool, which we use. So FX was the way to go. And you see, yeah, the price tag was not so easy for us. But then Side Effects made a really cool change in the market. And like I've said, if you want to get your fingers on Houdini, a full Houdini, with the limitations I've told you, it's a limited commercial license. Here you get the important topics about this. You can pay $199 a year, and you get it. And this is really cool. I will use in this presentation an Indy version so that you really can see what you get for a Cinema 3D user at this point. And there was another component we needed. And we needed, some weeks ago, a license of Houdini Indy to run a digital asset. You will see in a moment what a digital asset is. Or you needed an Indy license of Houdini Engine, which was, I think, $99 or something in a year. So now, Houdini Engine Indy is free. So the price tag is much better now. Okay, so if you have a Houdini Indy, you don't have to buy, or now you don't have to get Houdini Indy, it's Engine Indy, because it's only if you don't have a Houdini installation on your machine. Then you need this engine separate. Otherwise, yeah, you have it. Okay, this is a little bit about the words I now use. And now comes the point, what is Houdini Engine? I had at my booth many discussions. What is Engine? What does Engine do? Is now Cinema 4D able to do everything which you can do now in Houdini? Or is this an importer? Or what is it? And the key thing in Houdini Engine is a so-named digital asset. It's like a package. You will see in a moment how a digital asset is created. But you can think about, you pack all the stuff you do in Houdini in one node, in one package. You save it out as a file. You can upload it to Obel Store, or you can give it to your client, to your artist friend who never wants to touch Houdini. And he can now load this into your Cinema 4D and can use the functionality you packed into this asset. This is one great thing. And another great thing is, you also can send information from your Cinema 4D into this asset. The Houdini engine then, it's really the Houdini engine, makes all the stuff with your asset and delivers you the result into Cinema 4D again. So it's like a mini Houdini-driven generator for stuff. Stuff can be polygons, stuff can be particles in any kind of ways, but stuff can also be, with a little bit of tricksing around, volumes. You know, Cinema 4D, we are not able to render volumes, but with Arnold Renderer, we are able to render volumes, because Arnold is capable of rendering volumes, and we have to make a little change in the asset so that it stores out a little bit of OpenVDB files, and then we can reread this, and you get a wonderful volume rendering from Houdini Engine, also in Cinema 4D. So this is a little bit about this. Now we are here on Fmx because we want to see nice images and things like that. And so I switch really fast here to my folder, and I want to show you what this amazing software is capable of, and then I want to show you how to get your first steps into the Houdini engine and creating assets. Okay, you see amazing software and amazing reel. I start now my Houdini engine, my Houdini Indy version, sorry. And I want to give you first a little impression how this software works and how you get your fingers wet in it. Yeah, we have to wait for a short moment. You see this is the Indy edition limited for commercial use. Yeah, welcome to Houdini. For a Cinema 4D artist who never opened Houdini, it looks a little bit strange on the first place, but it's a 3D program, so you will see, yeah, it works really easy. If you are used to navigating with the Option key and the 3-button mouse, you see now it works exactly as you expect. The classic Houdini navigation with the spacebar also works, so yeah, you can switch easy for coming into this interface. A little bit, funny approach for you is the procedural thinking of Houdini in the first place. We as a Cinema 4D artist, we normally think about generators and deformators, and so we have a hierarchy which is a little bit like a history or a hierarchy or procedural approach. Houdini does procedural everywhere. Everything is procedural, node-based. How to get a node? Yeah. We start with the classic thing. I want to have a cube. If you click here to the cube, you see, yeah, you can decide where to place it, and this is something most people, oh God, yeah, then they click somewhere, and now they have to wait, and there's a cube. Yeah, you have done a cube in Houdini. And now comes this window here. This window here is a node-based window, a scene view, what you have in your scene. So something like your object manager in Cinema 4D, this is your scene. You see here is a box hanging around, and if you select this box, you see here the parameters of this box. Really easy. Also, you have here parameters to change the appearance of this box on the fly. Here on the left side, you have your typical tools you know from Cinema 4D. Here you have something to select. You can move, you can rotate, you can scale. The shortcuts are E, R, and T, so they are a little bit moved, but it works for us. And here are the modes in which you want to work, so a little bit like object or model mode and, components mode, Okay, let us take a closer look what happened here. If you have a node here, you can make a double click onto this node. And look here in this navigation here. We are in the moment on a scene level. Normally you see it here written, where now Indy edition is it written, and you can go into this node to see how this node creates its output. And you see here is a generator which makes the box. It's like a formula or something like that. And here you can see, okay, here I can scale it, I can change the size, the center, and I can also decide which kind of result you want to get. And then normally you start, okay, I want maybe to extrude something or so on. And now comes the thing, where's the extrude tool? I don't see an extrude tool directly. You will find something like that here in these shelves. But the idea behind this is that you add something here as a node. You see, you can have a noodle soup here. You click here on the output, can add the tab key, and you can say, I want, for example, a poly extrude, a poly bubble, and so on. And so you model, and you get one node after the next. And this is a tree which runs procedural all the time through. So we want to do something useful for us as a Cinema 4D user. So what can we do first? I want to create my first digital asset. And what an asset is, I have never told you. So a really short look onto my desktop. I have prepared a little bit stuff for you. And I went to the Orbal store. You see, the Orbal store has this web address, orbal.com. And there you can download digital assets for free. And also paid ones. And you can sell your assets if you like. And I've downloaded here 2 assets, and you see here is a pine tree and a fracture object. And these 2 things are these capsules I told you, which you deliver from your version. And if you are now want to use this, you find here in the pipeline menu of Cinema 4D, if you have installed the engine, or you have installed an Indy version or a full version of Houdini, you can load here your asset into this environment. And if I go now here to these assets I downloaded, for example, onto the pine tree, it takes now a while because he has to search internally, engine has to start and so on. And now suddenly, yeah, we have a pine tree here back to Christmas. Yeah, you see, now we have a wonderful tree here. And yeah, we can render it. Wow, tree. It looks a little bit brownish. Have you ever told your guy who generated this? It looks a little bit strange. Okay, so this is the asset. You see, in our Cinema 4D, we have here side effects, pine tree, cool. We can open this and we see, okay, two things. These are outputs. Yeah, we have here a poly output and we have a particle output here. And this is something we see now. And in the background, the engine runs, yeah, and generates this tree. What does this tree? If you select now this node here, like you used to selecting nodes here in Cinema 4D, you see this whole mass of parameters. Ooh. I always tell the people in the training, close everything. If you close everything, the world looks much nicer, and yeah, you are not afraid of the software anymore. You see, it's really a nice interface, and if you take now a closer look, you see here, I can have inputs, so I can deliver stuff into the engine, and it does something. It cooks it together. That's the name for Houdini procedural calculations. It cooks. Yeah, nice. So you can say, yeah, I want to deliver something for the needles here of my tree. Or I can control this tree. And you see here is a whole material section and a whole control structure here where I can change the tree height, the branch length, and so on. And if I change here something, you see, it is a little bit slower than usual in Cinema 4D, but in the background, Houdini engine cooks all this stuff together, so you change something from the outside, from Cinema 4D, it remembers, and then it runs through all these nodes you have seen a second ago, delivers something, and pushes back to Cinema 4D. That's the whole magic behind a digital asset. And what I want to do now with you is I want to generate something like that. I want to deliver something into Cinema 4D and show you how to bring something together. And I start with the torus. A little tip, if you hold down the control key or upper key, you don't have to place the object here. It's a little bit faster. And now we have this wonderful torus. And this time, I select here my node, and I go into this node. Yeah, I want to go into the geometric level because I want to change something which comes here from this node. I go into this, and you see we have here now our torus generator. And for a Cinema 4D user translation, it would be you change from the model or object mode into a component mode, because now you can really work with these parts which are in the torus. And here you see classics. You have here uniform scale and rows and all this stuff. And yeah, I make it a little bit more subdivided here. And now what I want to make with the surface, I want to crumble it. I want to make a little bit of deformations, displacement, something like that. And so I select here the output port of this node. I have here a line, and now I can press the tab key and I search for a mountain node. If you added this, now you can decide where to place it. If you have a very big noodle soup, you want really to say place it there and not over something which is important. I click here and it does something. But in most cases, my trainees say then at this point, oh, this looks extremely strange. Yeah, there's my torus, but what's that here? Huh? It looks like an arrow. No. You have to understand a little bit that these node trees are always calculating, so you have the chance to pick every point you want to see as an output. So what do you want to see in this? And you see in the moment, we have here little flags. You see, there are 4 fields. And this right flag here says, show me the torus, the output of this node. And this was the torus we generated. If you now want to see, okay, these torus delivers its data to the mountain. I want to see the output of the mountain now. You click here, and now you see the output of the mountain. So you can always change what you want to have as an output, what you want to see. Yeah? And that's a nice thing. You can go back. If you now have the mountain active, but you want to change the torus, no problem. You can switch here. Now you have a ghost of the torus. You can change, and it delivers a new mountain displacement on the fly, procedurally. Okay, wonderful. Now we can crumble this torus. That's great. What do we want to do? I want to talk a little bit about this mountain. You know from Cinema 4D, the Landschaft object or the surfaces, it's a little bit like that. Yeah, you can change here the fractal depth, the roughness, and for me the height is really important. I can tell here the system what you really want to see. Okay, finished until this point. Now we want to make a digital asset. We come back to this point in a moment. Make sure that you have the output really set here or the output you want to have. Yeah? Sometimes I go in and make a null object as an output, so I always know, okay, the null object is always the output, so the last node in my tree. So I go up. You see, if I now make a digital asset here, I sometimes run into problems. You will later see, or it has to do something with paths and inputs and so on. So I go here in the geometric level, I select these two and make something which is named a subnet. I want to make a new capsule. And this is a concept you have really often in Houdini. You make capsules. They do something. If they do what you want, you make a new capsule, a new node out of this, and you do this. And later you have, like bricks, you bring them together to build a whole city. Yeah? So now you have this subnet here, which does exactly what you want to do. You see many inputs, many outputs. And now I want to do my digital asset. Make a right mouse button, click onto it, go here, and here you see create a digital asset. Okay. Now we have to write a little bit. We name it this time. We say, okay, this is, for example, ring and fmx. Here I can have the path where I want to save it. And I say I want to save this out as fmx ring or something like that. I accept this, and then, comes the next big dialogue. Yeah? Some people say Houdini is a little bit complicated. No. It only is really, really, after that you can do everything you want. So you get many options. You don't have to take them. Yeah, that's important. You get them, but you don't have to take them. So you have here your name, and one thing we come later back is here the parameters area. The parameters area here, you decide what you want to have as parameters for the outside later. In the moment we don't have intelligence, we say, deliver this. So you go to accept, you deliver this out, and that's it. I go back to Cinema 4D. Houdini engine was started, so I can now go back to my pipeline menu here, and I say I want to load now this wonderful digital asset we generated, the fmx ring here. And you see it takes again a little while, and it looks a little bit like in Houdini, a little bit ugly in the moment. What's going on? Let's test. This asset here is green. Yeah, that's great. If the asset is green, everything is fine. There's also an asset you will see in a moment which is red, which means not everything is okay. The cooking hasn't done its job. It can't do it. Then we have to solve. But it seems fine. We also have our output here, But if you look onto the asset in this moment, you see, here everything fine, everyone's happy. So what's going on? A Cinema 4D artist knows, okay, if an object looks like that, something with the Phong shading is wrong. Yeah, there has to be a glitch there. Houdini engine delivers UVs, Fongs, so it delivers everything. So what's the problem? You can add a Phong tag, but you don't have to. If you select here the mesh output, and this is the thing you see, you can have here you see here a tab which is named Phong, and you see this Phong angle is really, really low, and that's the reason why it looks so strange. If you increase it a little bit, everything is fine. So what we have managed until this point is we have made a torus, we mounted it, yeah, and we delivered it, and we have a live connection between the digital asset and Cinema 4D. Now we want to have an intelligent digital asset. We want to talk with this. So what we can talk now. If I go back here to Houdini now, I can here select my torus, for example, and maybe I want to change later here, for example, the scale of this torus. This would be a nice thing. Or I want to go here to the mountain, and I want to change here the height. So these are all things which are possible because it's procedural. We can change it to every point. But how to get this information to Cinema 4D? Nothing easier than that. You go onto your subnet, which is now a digital asset in the background. It's a digital asset, a node. Make a right mouse button click, and you go into the type properties. The type properties are the properties of this node, which lies on the node. And here you see, under parameters, we have here, in the moment, existing parameters, nothing. And I try to show you both at the same time. You see here, these are the attributes of my subnet, and you see they are empty. This is exactly this here, what you see here. And what you can do now is you can add here from the left side fields. It's a little bit like in Espresso user data. We do for Espresso. We drag data into the user interface to talk to Espresso. It's the same here. What you can do here is also a little bit an easier way. I let this dialog open, I go into my tree, and I select now my torus, and now I can take the option which I like, uniform scale, and I drag it over here into the list. And now you see I have a field here which is named uniform scale. You can change the label here if you like. Also, you can change how the appearance later in the user interface is. Do you want to have a slider, or do you want to have ranges, or something like that? And if I click now for a short moment, I go here onto the subnet, you see nothing has changed in the moment. I click here on to apply. You see now on the subnet we have this parameter, and this is now linked. So that means if I now change it here, you see it delivers this information into this. Yeah, easy. And so now we can be a little bit faster. The torus is done. Maybe the rows and the columns are important. Yeah, so we drag them over. And also I go here to the mountain itself, and here I want to have, for example, the height. Yeah. Okay. If I go now out here, it looks a little bit ugly. Yeah, you see, no one will understand it in Cinema 4D because you are the tech guy, but an artist has to use it in Cinema 4D. So we take a folder here, drag it over, and say, okay, this folder here we name, for example, this is the torus folder. Take another folder here, and we say, yeah, this is our displays or whatever. Now we have to change the row and the columns and the uniform scale. These are all torus stuff. The height is here for the displacement stuff. So apply. Yeah, now we are tidy and clean here. That's nice. We go to accept, and now comes the cool part. Houdini uses its digital asset system also for itself. Yeah, it was not developed only for us Cinema 4D users. It uses, yeah? You build bricks, always bricks, 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 and you combine. And so, if you click accept, it updates the asset which is stored on my hard drive. And so if I go back, if I now were in another application, like for example Maya, I have a reload button and it works, and yeah, everything is fine. Here, you have to go here and you really have to re-import it, but yeah, this is a little glitch here, but that's it. Yeah, I go here, say, give me the ring again. Yeah, and now you see this ring is much bigger now, because I've played a little bit in Houdini with this. I select now here this object, and now you see you have a new tab, asset, and I close everything, like you know that I work like this, and now you see you have rows here, you have uniform scale, you have columns, and you have the displacer. Cool. So, if you can now model something, yeah, procedurally, a staircase or something like that, it works, yeah? You do something in Houdini, crazy stuff, the TD does it, you don't want to know it, they deliver you a digital asset, you get your parameters, and you are happy. That's the point until this. But what if I want, for example, deliver something? Yeah, for example, so if I want to give data to the asset, how can I get a communication between these two software products? That's our next project we now do. So I have to change this here really fast. I go here, say new, no, it was not so cool that we need. Everyone knows MoGraph in Cinema 4D. MoGraph is the coolest thing we ever invented, yeah? Ever. So, and what we can do, we can clone everything. So, maybe Houdini is a little bit clever like this. Maybe it can clone also something. We can try. Okay, we want to have a plane, so make a grid. Grid is plane. You see? Plane. Wonderful. I go into the plane. And now in this plane, I want to change a little bit. I want to say, okay, I want to have 5 rows and 5 columns. You can scale it a little bit. And the next thing I want to do is here, I want to place something onto the points of this plane. Yeah? So something. You don't have a something object, I think? No. No something object in the moment. So we take a classic, for example, a sphere or whatever. We want to change it later from cinema, so sphere is nice. And this is a problem most starters in Houdini have. Suddenly they say, okay, I've placed the sphere, but where is it? Gone. Shit. Sphere gone, yeah? You remember our flag thing we had? We are now in a geometry level, and geometry level only outputs one thing. Yeah? It outputs something. And what do we output? We output the grid in the moment. If you go here and click here onto the sphere, wonderful, now we have the sphere. Yeah, grid gone. That's a bad thing. Yeah? We want to have 2 things. Please remember, this is not only a group. A node is not like a group in Cinema 4D. Yeah? You can't place everything and you see everything. It's more like a generator, and it outputs only one thing. Yeah? You see, you can now change here what you can see, or you can template something, but it doesn't solve your problem. Templating, this is the second last flag here, only says, yeah, I show it to you. There it is, but it doesn't do something. Yeah? So what you can do as a Cinema 4D user to understand, I want to see both, you can merge these two together. Merge is really, make noodle soups like this. And then you say, I want to see the output of the merge. This is one way, yeah? So you build your stuff together, you merge your polygons together, and then you say, yeah, there you are. Yeah? You can have as many inputs as you like here. Yeah, this is merge. But in this case, we don't want to have merge, so goodbye merge. We want to clone now, and cloning here is named copy. Yeah, we copy something, and you see now 2 inputs, 1 output, okay, and I think you remember, we want really to input something, but Houdini is a little bit complicated sometimes. How do I get these informations, what these ports are or so? If you want to have informations about a node, make a middle mouse button click. You see a little information, how long it has cooked, and if it's happy, and all this stuff. But if you want to know a little bit more about the ports, make a middle mouse button click on a port. And now you see, okay, a primitive to copy. Yeah, this is our sphere. Boop. And here you see where get the information to clone. And if you take something like that, you see, a familiar image you can know from Cinema 4D. This is something like a cloner. Yeah, and now you can deliver this. We can play a little bit more if you like. We say, maybe that's a good thing we can deliver, something like that. But maybe I want to have it a little bit in a different way, a little bit, something else. And what we can do is we can add a scatter node. Scatter nodes are funny, because they search for positions on stuff. Yeah? If you have a grid here, in the moment we only use these points, but what if you want to have certain kind of amount of points on something? And so we can say, please make points for me. And now you see the scatter node takes the grid and generates points. How much points? This is the attribute of the scatter node. You see, search for 1,000 positions here. Yeah? If you say, 1,000 are a little bit too much, 50, and you always get here positions. You have many more options, but this is the idea. You see, you give him something and say, on this, please, 1,050 positions, and that's it. Yeah? And now we can say, yeah, and these positions are really cool because then we can say, I want to copy on positions. Now we have two scenarios. Sometimes you want to have it on a grid. Sometimes you want to have it on randomly selected points. How do you switch between these two ideas? Guess what? There's a switch node. You see? There's a switch. So if you can't decide, a switch is a good thing. Yeah? So now we have two different approaches. We can say sometimes grid is cool, sometimes scatter is cool. And now we take the scatter here as an input and the grid alone as an input, and we output this to copy. And now take a look into the switch. You see, you have here now a selector, and now you can switch. Nice. So if you can't decide, give your client 3 options. Yeah, it will always take the second one. Yeah, okay, so give it options. And now you see how this procedural approach will help you really to develop your asset more and more and more. And now we have to go out onto our subnet. We don't have one in the moment, and deliver one. I select everything here, make a subnet out of this, go to the type properties after we have generated this, cloner, we save it somewhere, it's the Fmx cloner, accept. And now comes our part where we now decide where or which options we want to have. I go into the noodle soup again, into the node graph, and now what you want to change. In the moment, I want, for example, to change here the grid cells. What you can do is you can also, if this window is open, you can export them here to this window, but in most cases I tend to drag and drop this. It's easier. So we can have this here, then we can have the amount of points you maybe want to scatter, and really important, the switcher we need. And if we now apply this, go to our asset, now we have here the user interface, we can test it. The switcher works, you see, now we can switch from the outside. Yeah, then we have a amount of points, be a little careful with this value. Yeah, and we have, if you really want to have the grid, yeah, you can switch here to 1 and change here the amount also. Really, really cool. So if you now accept this, go to Cinema 4D, go into the asset loader, and now we can go here to Fmx Clones. Yeah, see a familiar image. And here your user interface, which works exactly like this. If I want, I can make it nicer with switch boxes and all this stuff. But yeah, you see the function. It works exactly like you want it. Yeah. So this is a more intelligent thing now. You have a decision. Go this route, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Questions until this point? Yeah?
Could I input a model from Cinema 4D and let that generate the points?
Yes, sure.
So instead of forming the grid in Houdini, I can say, take my landscape object from Cinema 4D and generate points.
Absolutely, yeah. That's absolutely the point. If you want, I can make an example like this, a little bit combined with something else. Houdini is extremely strong in simulations. You saw this in the trailer, and maybe you want to pimp up the simulation tools we have here in Cinema 4D. So how to do this? Then you want to deliver something, yeah, to the system. So we need someone who is broken, something like that, for example. This is torus. And yeah, you can now divide the torus, but how to make a rigid body simulation? You can do everything by hand in Houdini. Sometimes you have to. But Houdini is a very clever software because if you select something here, on this shelf on the right side, you see there are whole setups. And this is something you have to learn in Houdini. We are trained that we click on tool and only the tool does something. Yeah, you have extrude tool or so. If you click here, for example, I want now this torus object to be fractured, not a tool opens. You see, it takes a while. First we have to say, okay, what I want to do here. It takes a while, and in most cases you see here in this status bar that a script runs. It does something in the background. It really takes some time. And now you see here, I press the L key like layout, so that makes it a little bit clearer for me to see. You see now our torus object is still there, but we have now a second node, which is an auto-DOP network. And a DOP is a dynamic operator network. Yeah, there in this network something happens. And now let us take a look. I first open up our torus GU. You know how the torus GU looked before we've done this. And now you see, oh, this was not a tool. This was a script. So if I make it bigger, you see, okay, here's the torus, and it delivers at this group thing, okay? Then we have a rest position, and then we have a DOP import, okay? It is an importer into a DOP network. We'll later see what it is doing. Okay, we go out here. What is this DOP network? I opened this and make it a little bit bigger for you. Here is a torus. Huh? Why is here the torus? Because the import. Yeah, you bring over the information of the torus to the DOP network. So this is a reference thing going on here. Then you have a merge, and this merge is absolutely useless in the moment. Yeah, because this merge is only for you a helper if you want to have more than one object. So if you do this again and again and again, with merge, we have seen we merge trees together. So there's a funny thing. If you want to get rid of these things here, make something, shake them. This is funny. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, good idea. Shake them. Yeah, so funny. Okay, I rebuilt it really fast because maybe we need merge. So we merge with nothing. Then we have a Rigidbody Solver, so something like we know from Cinema 4D. Then we merge again because Houdini has so many solvers, and you can combine them really heavily together, rigid, soft bodies, and FEMs, and oh yeah, it's funny. Yeah, and then you have gravity. Okay, we know everything falls down. Yeah, and then we have an output somewhere. So this is the whole network we are working in the moment. And now we have said, yeah, we want to fracture. Now I want to see fractures play. Oh. We have an extremely fast torus, which never fractured. Why? First thing, fast. You see, I have this monster machine here sitting. You see this dynamic simulation is extremely fast. Yeah, Houdini tries to cache as fast as it can. This here is caching. So you don't have a special bake command here. You press play and it caches. Yeah, from the point where you are in the moment. You have here a little stopwatch, where you can say, okay, only real time. Yeah, monster machine, yes, but never faster than real time. Okay, goodbye. But what's going on with the fracture? If you open up this here again, and I make a full screen, you see you delivered the torus to a group. No fracturing at all. Where is the fracturing? Yeah, I want to have something which is fracturing. And if you want, you can have, for example, here, different kinds of fractures. If you type in here fractures, you see solid fractures, Voronoi fractures, and so on. I take a Voronoi fracture, and this here now wants to have geometry to fracture. Okay, this is logical. Take this torus, fracture it. What's that here? Positions for Voronoi cells. If you know this algorithm, it fractures pieces around points. So we need points, yeah, for these pieces. And these points have to be best on the torus. You remember we had pieces, yeah, points on the torus. How to get them? We had a scatter node. Yeah? Scatter makes points, you remember. Yeah. So, cool effect. Huh? Now a little bit glow, Tron is done. That's it. Okay, so we have now points, but we only want, for example, 50 points or 20. That's absolutely enough. And now we have positions for pieces. Yeah? Now we have our piece positions, and we say, yeah, now I have stuff to do. And now you see this torus here is now really fractured. Yeah? Have you understood the tree? You want to fracture pieces at points you have on the torus. That's the whole thing. And so we don't need this anymore. We go here, this route now. And so now we have a fractured torus. It will fall down, hopefully, if I set my output correctly. Yeah, it's always important to have your output correct. Goodbye. But yeah, we never see the nice fracturing because, yeah, it falls forever. So we go here and take a ground plane. Ground plane is exactly what the name says. You can place this ground plane. It's like our ground we have in Cinema 4D. And yeah, boom. Now it's fractured. Good. And now comes the point you asked me. Yeah, I don't want to fracture torus. I want to fracture something from cinema. Yeah. We can't make now our subnet from the level we were before because now we have 3 nodes which have to come together. One thing, before I forgot it, if you go to the torus and you go here to the DOP import, Houdini really often uses paths like this. Go to the object, go into the AutoDOP network, search for the torus, and so on. And you see this here is an absolute path. So it really has to know, yeah, where to start. If we later bring this to Cinema 4D in an asset, maybe these paths are different. And so sometimes these things could break if you don't keep this in mind or you do something by hand. Houdini is clever in the export, but this is something you have to search if something doesn't work. Is the path now relative or still absolute? So I go in, now we will make a fast run. We select them, Shift-C or click here, make a subnet out of it. This subnet now has to be a digital asset. We name it somehow. Make a nice name, place it on the desktop. Accept this. And now we get this, and this time under parameters, you have a whole list of parameters. This is something really annoying for most people. Why do I have no parameters? The trick is, if you are on geometry level, in the geometry itself, you don't have parameters. But in the scene level, you get all the things you have normally on objects, like transforms and all this stuff, and you see it here. You don't need this in Cinema 4D. So my way of working, close it, select it, and say invisible. I don't want to see it in cinema. That's no interest in the moment. But now we want to change a little bit stuff. I see a little problem in the moment. Yeah, I wanted to show you a fast way and a not so fast way, but yeah, I've forgotten this. Okay, I go with cancel out. If you really want to have the fast way to do this here, and you make a digital asset where you want to have an input field from Cinema 4D, you can make a subnet without connecting the node which delivers the data. This sometimes helps. Yeah, then you get an input field in Cinema 4D. I can't do this in this case because in this node here, if I say only make a subnet like this, I don't have a connection, a direct, and this here is not the torus anymore. This is a fractured torus. So I can't do this route in the moment. So I have to go in here and change here really fast something here. If you don't want to deliver the torus, then you need to import this with a reference, but I do it in a moment again. So, so I go here to the subnet, I created the digital asset, I go here, I remove this here, invisible, I accept this, and I hopefully get a digital asset in the moment, which works. Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. You see, it works like expected, falls down, breaks, everything is okay now. But I want here to import something. And to do this, we need here something which brings something in, like an object reference. And to do this, how's the node called for importing merge, object merge? Yeah, object merge. Yeah, and all the side effect guys suddenly look around. Okay, object merge is something like make a reference, ask the other one, like we do, yeah? Ask the other one. And object merge does exactly this. You see, in the object merge node, you can have as many objects which you want to ask, and I only have to say, okay, I want to bring an object from the outside in, which is named object 1, and it delivers its data into this object. So here on this node now, the Cinema 4D object will end. And now we can say, yeah, I don't want to have a torus. I want to have my scatter points from this object, and I also want to deliver this here. Now it doesn't work anymore here in Houdini with the torus, because now you have no input. You have to bring something here in. And yeah, now we only have to bring this field out so that our Cinema 4D will see it. So the type properties, I go in here, say source, and I want to see this object field in this list, so I can stick something into it. Okay, now you can also go in here and say, yeah, I want to have here the amount of points you want to have, and so on. I think you understand the system. I now say accept, and now we go back, re-import, and if everything went well, we will have now an object reference here. Yeah, nothing else, but he's happy. Why? Because he has an object reference. And if you look now here into the inputs, you see now an object field. Yeah, this is the object merge from Houdini. And now we can try to place something here. For example, you have your platonic here. You go in, you place it. It hopefully cooks, and if you bring it down, yeah, you see now it breaks like expected. So this is the way you can do. You also can deliver particles, yeah, and get back particles as thinking particles, and then you can do the stuff. You also can connect digital assets with digital assets with digital assets, so you can bring all the stuff together. Yeah, my time is up. I only have 3 minutes left, so any questions in the moment? Yeah?
Once you've used an asset in a scene and you want to render it, maybe on a render farm, you need to have Houdini on your render boxes.
You need Houdini engine in it, but what you can do is you can make for your geometry a Alembic cache from Cinema. You cache it into the Alembic, so geometry cache, yeah. Never sim something on a render farm. Yeah. If you have more questions, I will be at the Pixeltrain booth the whole week. The side effects guys will be here. And on my Vimeo channel, my company name is Pixeltrain, so vimeo.com/Pixeltrain, you will find a whole bunch of tutorials about OpenVDB, generating in Houdini, render then in Cinema 4D with Arnold. And this whole tutorial, I have made a 2 hours tutorial out of this, a free one you find on the Vimeo channel, which goes step by step how to get digital assets to cinema and how they work. They are in German, sorry, so all the English people have to go to Thanasis tutorials on the Maxon website. And like I've said, if you want to play with this technology, I'm at the Pixeltrain booth. Come to us and talk. Thank you.